Blog Talk Radio.
About how the coherent wavelength holds the frequency and harmonics we need to listen to in order to experience peace. What can you tell us about this, Toni? How did you actually get to work on this?
Well, one of the things that I'm aware of is that each of us comes to the earth in our incarnation with a specific mission or goal in mind, so to speak. And a lot of the people I know hope that it's going to be something like, being rich and being famous and having a wonderfully abundant life and kind of floating on the shores of vacation all the time. And really what we want to pay attention to is what happens in our life on a continual basis until it gets our attention enough that we realize that this is our mission. And this happens to everyone in a variety of different ways. It came about through a series of what people would consider to be betrayals. And I don't see it that way. What I see is other people showing me how to come to the space inside of myself that you would call peace, and also to do this through absolution so that you do remain in a coherent vibration within your heart. Because the idea of peace is so often put out there. It's sort of like, well, I'll be at peace when everybody else is doing what I want them to do, or I'll be at peace when none of the countries are at war, as though it's, the basis is out there rather than inside of ourselves. And the only way
everybody thinks it has to do with everybody instead of oneself.
Right, exactly. So as I began to realize that this particular scenario was playing out in my life in a variety of ways, either big or little, I said, I get it. I'm here to understand that each person is actually holding up a mirror for me to see that I may hold peace in my heart if I do not see them separate from myself. I see them as God in form, as I am, which is basically absolution, which we talked about last month when we talked about absolute forgiveness, and that was your theme for the month. And when we come to this place where we're no longer separating ourselves or resisting other people, no matter how the other people may be appearing in our lives, then we are really experiencing coherency in our body. Coherency means the troughs and the crests of our wave are even. So if you kind of imagine a wave in front of you like an ocean wave, and as high as it goes up, that's how low it goes down, and it stays even and it consistently does that, that's called coherency. And the heart itself is the strongest electromagnetic organ in our body, and the heart is what creates our frequency of wavelengths. So that coherent wavelength creates a sense of peace inside of us. But we can't have that if our mind is saying, well, yes, but how about this person, or how about that situation, or this is wrong, or that shouldn't be. So it's really about coming to a state of what you would call homeostasis or balance, evenness, like a pendulum swinging, coming to a stopping point inside yourself to allow the coherency to take place so that you can feel at peace inside of you. And sometimes that's a big step, Sometimes that's huge for people because they'll say, well, and people have said this to me, well, that's great, but let's not talk about this subject over here. Because I just had this conversation with somebody on the phone the other day, and we weren't even talking about peace. We were talking about a friend of ours who had died. And the fellow got on to the conversation of things that make you feel good and things that make you feel bad. And I started to tell him a little bit about what we're talking about right now. And he said, well, that's fine. But I can't do that when I see crimes being committed. So I let him talk about that, and I said, okay, so in your viewpoint, something is a crime, the person is wrong, and they need to be punished because they're bad. And he said, yes. I said, okay, so you're judging that, even if it doesn't have anything to do with you. You're just, watching it on television, reading it in the newspaper. And he goes, yeah. And I said, all right, so that you can never come to a place of coherency because you're always separating yourself without even knowing why those people are doing what they're doing. Because on a soul level, we never know why two people are acting out a specific pattern. If it doesn't have to do with us, then really it's none of our business. And though we might feel like we need to have an opinion or a judgment about it because that's what the mass consciousness does, we really don't. And I think that if people will own the responsibility of being responsible for their own peace, then peace will prevail on earth. Like the song you just played, Give Peace a Chance.
Yes.
Give peace a chance with you. You have to give peace a chance in your life. So I invite the listeners to look in your life to where there isn't peace, where there is a person or a situation that you can't come to peace with because of how you feel about it. It doesn't make any difference how the other person feels. Forget the other person. Actually, they're not important. The person that's important is you. And how you feel about whatever's going on.